Hanson, Glass,
Here.
Sherman,
Here.
Fisher, Tucker,
Here.
Swallow. Here.
Mr. Glass, would you like us to take it from here?
Yes, I would.
So I think what we'll do, we do have Darren Scott and Andrea Powell from Kimley Horn with us this evening. And so I think we'll take item number 6 and move it up and give them an opportunity to give their presentation. And they're welcome to stay for our meeting if they choose. But if not, you guys can certainly get back on the road. You got some highway time between here and your final destination today. So with that, item 6 is discussion with Darren Scott. It says Austin Powers. Austin's not here, but Andrea is with Kimley Horn. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. No, just an update on kind of 3 things. First thing, last night we had our public meeting for the Hatfield Park Master Plan. So what we set up here was basically some of the results. I know quite a few of you were there last night, but if you, after we talk a little bit, if you want to go through and look at some of the results, this is kind of the first step into just hearing what people would like to see at Hatfield. So we asked questions about circulation, amenities, park features, the types of play, just trying to get a feel of what types of things people would like to see there. We also kept it a little open-ended on these 2 boards down here on this end. Just tell us anything, what would be a success of this project, or a successful Hatfield Park, and then, if I could wish it anything, what would it be? And Kelly made a good point last night of make sure that let's just dream big on things. Don't try to limit ourselves to really small, things, because we know this is a long-term master plan and it'll be phased in. So if there's some larger things that we'd like to see there at some point, go ahead and put that out there so we know that that's a need. The other thing we did is we had surveys for everyone, so everyone completed a written survey that asked some of the general questions similar to this, but it kind of gave scoring of ranges. You would like this or you wouldn't like this, kind of thing. You get an idea of ages and how long you lived here, kind of a little bit of demographics to go with the survey responses. What we'll do beyond this is we want to put an online survey, so on the city website, Facebook, all of the social media avenues, have an online survey, and then also tailor one towards the kids, the school-age kids. So to ask the questions for them. We tried to get something scheduled with them today, but they were doing testing. So we'll do the survey that they can take as well. So that'll give us a pretty good picture of what the desire is for the park. From there, we'll go into, we've done some evaluations, but we'll just start doing our evaluation of existing amenities, conditions, get the analysis of what's out there, and then develop a draft master plan that'll take all the things we've heard and the things we've seen and start doing space allocation as to what those improvements could be. Then we have it in the contract to do another round of community engagement, so people can comment on that plan. They can say what they like, they don't like, talk about relationships with different components. So that's the next step. And then the final piece to it will be to revise the master plan based on that feedback. We'll provide cost estimation and phasing. So we will work with everyone to figure out what's first priority down to maybe a longer term goal. A lot of that will be tied to grant opportunities as well. So looking at what grants are out there and trying to identify packages that would go with that grant size, I guess. So that's an update on Hatfield master plan. Is there any questions or comments on that? Okay, that's good. Covered everything. But now after we get done, I encourage you before we leave to take a quick look, and we'll have these results posted too. We'll go back and summarize and score these, so we'll have a more formal response, but this was just raw from what we did last night. The second thing we met today with city staff on the pool project, talked about utilities, that kind of thing. So that was helpful to hear from Drake and Adam, had a lot of knowledge about existing utilities and locates and all that stuff. So we were working through tie-ins and what made sense. Had some good knowledge of manholes that may exist that are underground, survey didn't pick up, so we'll do some more investigation, that kind of thing. And then later this afternoon, had a meeting with SHPO, the Historic Preservation Office, so we're working through some things with them. Is there anything else on that?
That was Friends of Play.
Oh, yes, sorry, I didn't use it, yes. Friends of Play, jumping back to Hatfield, yeah, totally forgot about that meeting. We met with them this morning and went over just playground ideas. And Andrew, we have one copy left. I didn't think to bring enough for 2 meetings, but you passed that around. It was more of just getting kind of thoughts on playground types. There's lots of new playground ideas. We heard from them as far as what they've done in the past, some of their ideas of things that they had kind of been in the process of working on, and ideas they would like to see carried forward. So that'll be another piece as we look at the big picture of Hatfield, and then we kind of drill down into the play itself. We'll have some more conversations with them on that. So that pretty much was covering the master plan and then the pool. The other thing that we've been talking some with Courtney and Kelly on is the turf conversions out here. Just talking through best ways to approach it, timing of things, how to get it done, between seasons and kind of that whole process, and things to look out for as far as making sure everything's in place if you're getting those apple bids and everything's in order there. Is there anything else on the turf to add?
So I just maybe as general direction from the board, and Darren, maybe you can speak towards this, and I'm sorry, I'm just...
Oh, you're talking the scope?
Yeah, the scope of services from Kimley Horn, as far as the consulting work that they'd be doing.
Yes, and I should have brought a copy of that, and I can definitely...
I can go print one.
Yeah, would you mind?
Okay. So we've talked different ways to do it. I know early on, Courtney, there was a few bids from some turf suppliers, and we looked at those, trying to compare apples to apples on what you're getting. Some of them exclude, drainage. Some of them exclude different things. So, Kelly and Courtney asked us to come up with a scope to basically do a design bid build. So it would be a set of plans that everybody's bidding off of, that everybody's bidding the same, and then it specs out all the requirements. It does a drainage plan, shows where you're draining everything to. So we developed that, and then in addition to, has some bidding assistance and then construction observation as well, so to come out here and look while they're installing. So that's what we provided Kelly and Courtney, is basically the full package for us to do the design services. So that's it in a nutshell. There's like we said, there's kind of 2 methods of it. It's the design build and then the design bid build. And it's kind of a preference on how the city wants to go with that.
So in just a general, for the design bid build that they sent us as probably the most complete way of going about getting apples to apples bids. That scope would include providing us, the board, with 50% construction documents, taking our feedback, going through, developing then the 100% construction documents, and getting us out for bid, and then having some meetings related to that, and then the actual construction phase that they would oversee with whoever we chose as the bidder. The document here has, we'll get this emailed out to everybody, but I guess what we'd like to have input from the board is if we want to go design build, or is that what it was? Design build?
Design build is basically the contractors give you here's what we'll do it for, and they give you generally, this is what we're doing. And then they are responsible then for the plans, the grading, all of that. And there's really not any, I guess, observation of what they're doing. I mean, you can evaluate bidders to see if, they have a good track record. I mean, I think that's the most important thing if you go that route. But there's not as much oversight. There's a little more freedom for them to do kind of what they want without someone watching it. The design bid build, which what we provided the scope for, would be everyone knows what they're bidding and, their specifications. So if they're not following it, there's a little bit of you can hold them accountable. But the main thing on design bid build or design build with the contractors, that's not bad. I mean, we do that as well. We've helped kind of evaluate some of those bids. It's just there's not quite as much on the ground to make sure that they're doing everything. And I don't know the requirements on the city as far as how you have to bid things. The other part of that is it competitive. And then if you're not taking the low bid, then you got to justify why. So the low bid may not be the best contract to use. And you can get that in, a design bid build as well, but at least there is something that they're supposed to hold them. They got to do this. So it's a little more protection on the city side of things. And it's a big investment to do turf that you can't go back later, on a natural field. You can go in and correct things fairly easy. I mean, once you get turf down, it's down, and if it's not even or there's issues, it's a big undertaking to get that back up. So that's kind of the balance there. So I don't know if I explained all that perfectly well, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, and what I'd like to do is maybe get some feedback and then possibly call a special meeting so that we can, you guys can all look at, if you want to go design bid build, you can look at the document and we can, it'd be something that we would vote on and approve. It's basically like a contract. And but if you feel like we're capable of doing just design build, then we wouldn't need this. I worry that if we did design build, we'd get bids in all over the place. They'd be for different things, and then we would be stuck choosing what we think is the best for the best price for the best product, or lowest best bid. We would have some protections against litigation if we didn't choose the low bid if we went design bid build, whereas if we went design build, really we don't have any protections against a low bid coming in and saying, you didn't take us, you should have taken us, and you didn't have a good reason not to. And so we'll get this emailed out to everybody, but if anybody, unless you guys are just adamant enough about going design build.
Do you have a ballpark figure for what it might cost to have you all do?
So this one, all in, is $70,000, but that's bidding the being out here, I think we have like 48 hours of time during construction, help with sequencing and all that. So it's broken down. You'll see it in different phases, but it's about,
But that 48 hours would have mean anything to us, because if it's not done correctly, it falls back on you all then, right? Not us?
well, I mean, we're there to observe that it's being installed per specifications. Now, if it gets to, if they've done something that we can't see, or the ultimate responsibility falls on the contractor, that if they didn't follow the specifications. But, I mean, we're there to require a submittal for the rock, and, what they're using on the under drain, we'll want to see that before it's covered up. So we're there in steps to, okay, yeah, you did that. There's times, and we deal with this in irrigation, you can make it spray water from the surface, but if you haven't seen it installed, you have no idea what's down there, and you get all sorts of pumps later. So we're there to ensure and to protect the city that it's being done, and we'll use that time at the right time to come out, depending on where the contractor's at in construction. But
Kind of like code enforcement, like when you're building a house, you gotta come out and inspect the electrical before you can cover it with sheetrock, and
yeah,
so they'll be there along the process.
It's roughly 5% of what we anticipate total capital outlay being.
yeah,
Is what that 70,000 is.
yeah.
But, we don't know where bids are gonna come in, so.
And that's the other thing we did talk about was, if you bid this, to make sure to get it under budget, do we look at a certain number of fields, and then we kind of add on if we're to get to the number. We don't want to kill the project if, they bid 8 fields and we're over by a couple of thousand, we need to bump it down. So that was the other thing we talked about, is how do we set up the bids where we can ensure that we're going to get under budget to some level. So, but putting together the bid documents, making sure everything's specified. Turf guys, I mean, we did a sports complex in Midwest City, and we actually bid the turf separate from the rest of the improvements, and we had probably 10 or 12 bidders on it, and they're very good at trying to play games with the type of turf they put out there, and design, looking at specifications and trying to whittle their way into cost savings. So they're good at that kind of stuff. And I mean, they're trying to get the low bids, so it's understood. But lots of turf guys out there that basically have the same thing with slight nuances. Really, it's how you get it installed. One of our guys, he's out of Kansas City. He basically is what he does in sports fields. He's done tons all over the country. He has pretty good relationships with a lot of the field builders. So he knows the good ones, he knows the bad ones. He can give opinions about, hey, they would do a good job, watch out for this or that. So, and we're here, I mean, if you decide to go the design build route, I mean, there's other things we could do to help evaluate. I mean, we don't have full control of anything, but I mean, we could take a look at the 3 bids and say, in our opinion, they're missing these things. You need to ask them about that. We don't want to get too far into the watching construction, because that becomes a little more like those aren't our plans. That's not, we didn't specify anything, so we don't want to start crossing too far over to that. So we kind of shy away from the construction side of things on design build, but we can definitely help you evaluate what you got, what appears to be the best, and however you want to handle it from there.
How long would it take if we decide to go for design bid build for you all to?
To complete everything. So we had talked roughly getting things in place. So when's your last?
We usually get done about mid-June, end of June.
Yeah. So having basically things ready to go, so they can start getting things torn out and try to get through at least most of it.
When would you all be done with your design?
So we would be ready to go with our design about the time that they're done with play.
So then you gotta go out to bid.
Well,
So
the bidding would be during that partial. It would be close. I think we were talking July
I guess
first.
this question is kind of like, when do you anticipate sending the bids out?
To
Right.
be ready to bid. So we were talking, trying to get construction started sometime in July, early July. So you back that up 3 weeks, 4 weeks to bid. So you're looking,
Be done by the end of May.
yes, or, into May, early
6
June.
weeks.
So what the hope is we would get it done before at least the majority of it before the fall season. That's the other thing we talked about is, they're gonna build, basically tear one out and then start doing the rock and then they'll move to the next one. So you kind of work your way around. So you'll have some fields online before the fall with the hope you have almost all of them. But there might be a few that are lagging behind, but you would have enough to play, your fall. Because they can get in and build the fields pretty quick, once they're out here. And if they have places to go, they're not, if they're building one field, it takes.
And I think Darren mentioned this, but the way we would structure the bid is that we would have probably either we choose to bid out, 4 and 4, or we choose to bid out 6 with an alternate for one field, what's the cost per field. And that way, what we don't want to see happen is that we go out for bid for all 8 fields and it comes in at, $2 million. Because that's more than what we're anticipating by quite a bit. We want to be able to see that when we choose a bid, we're actually going to be able to do something. So if that means we have them break it up to where this is what it is for all of it, but then giving us an alternate bid per field.
So it might be 3 bids. There might be 3 bids, 4 and 4, 6 and 2, or 6 and.
Well,
We
we
figured
probably
that out
do.
beforehand.
I'd probably say do all and then do one pod, like softball pod, baseball pod, and then per field. So you're talking, 3.
And you may get different
Yeah.
bids for each. You're probably gonna get a cheaper bid if they know they're doing all
Right.
8 per field. But at least you get a breakdown of, okay, if I can only do 6, then you know what that is. And we can explain that to the bidders as well. I mean, and they understand. But they'll definitely bid cheaper if they can do all 8 versus if they think they're gonna do one field, that's gonna be. So it's probably smart to do, we're gonna bid all of them, or we're gonna bid 6 and 2 alternates, or something where we get a majority of the fields, and we're confident we can get under. And we talked to the contractors too beforehand to get an idea. What are you guys building fields for?
And with their contract here, that's part of it is pre-bid meeting, pre-construction meetings. all
Cost
that stuff.
estimate, we'll have our estimate prior to, which, on this kind of deal, have a pretty good handle on what it would be, because it's not, you have a little bit of a location factor depending on where some of the contractors are coming from, but it's pretty straightforward. They know how to do it. It's not anything custom or anything, so we should have a pretty tight understanding of where those bids should be. We can talk to the ones that are interested. They'll usually give us it's gonna be about this much per bid. And I know you had Sprinter, you remember those two?
Hellas, Heartland.
Yeah, I
There
think,
was one more.
I think,
Hellas, Sprinter, Heartland, and there was one more, but I can't remember.
yeah.
I'd have to go look.
And there was one of them I know that Jason, our sports guy, talked to about it. It was more about timing, about how quickly you can get this done. And a lot of times they can get it done. You can smash everything down, it just increases the cost. More people they're gonna have out there. So, but I think between July and when you start your fall ball, that's enough time for them to get things done. It's not, we're not cramming the schedule.
Are they experiencing supply chain issues in that industry?
Not as much now. Now it's better than it was. So we haven't heard 3 months to get a roller curve.
And I can email this out right after the meeting and have you guys look at it, and we do a special meeting, that way we're still rolling with this.
What if we do have trouble after it's built? Are you guys part of that?
We can evaluate what's going on to see sort of issue, it's always the design team, the contractor, everyone's talking to figure out what's going on. Sometimes there's finger pointing back and forth, but ultimately it's determined what's causing the problem. And, if it's,
But you all would not have any liability, correct?
I mean, we could, I mean, we messed something up on the plans, if we didn't do our grading plan right, or, the drainage system wasn't designed to handle what it's supposed to, then, yeah, I mean, that's on us. Now, if they didn't get it graded, they had a soft spot, and now all of a sudden you got a settling issue, and they were supposed to, proof roll it, do all that, then that's more on contractor. You didn't follow the requirements, or,
But that doesn't fall back on you all, as part of your 48 hours of overseeing.
Well, they can help us determine whether the contractor's at fault.
yeah. But the thing is that we're not doing full inspection, so we're not out there every day seeing everything. There's a difference in doing inspection versus observing key points. I mean, it's a lot. I don't think it's necessary for someone to be out there every day. But, did you get the rock down right? Did you show us that you shot it after you put your rock down and it's a grade? Confirm that. Show us your survey points. All of that. We can look at that and say, yeah, they did it right.
And they'll work with our building official to, because Adam's here. Adam can come out and, be their eyes, here in Alva as well.
And we have hours in there. That's not, it can be less, it can be more. All that's flexible on how much we're needing. But yeah, if we're able to talk with the inspector and say, let us know when they're doing this, and we'll have calls. We'll have usually it's like weekly calls with the contractor. They give us an update on what they're doing. We can do that as well. So it's a little more oversight on the construction side if we're involved throughout. Whereas the other, get a good contractor. They want to do a good job too. Most of them, not all, but they want to do a good job. You're in pretty good shape. We're going to do it right. It's just the ones that decide they want to skip something. So. Anything else? Well, if you have any other questions down the road, let us know. Or if you have another idea of like, hey, we wonder if you could help us do this to this level. We can work on that too. So this was just the request of let's do the full design and construction observations.
That's all I've got on that for right now, but I do think we need to get that out to you guys and then schedule a special meeting. And we can get Darren on the phone if we need to during that and get something going. If we are going to shoot for releasing bids by the end of May, we need to get on it.
Sooner the better on that. That's gonna, regardless of either way. If you decide you want to go the other route, it needs to get things in motion. I think to make sure you don't miss a season unless you want to push it until after fall, or just not have it so that it's available in fall.
Everybody good?
All right. Well, we have these boards. If anybody wants to take a quick look, otherwise we can give you the summarized results here in a probably a week or two. We'll have kind of everything summarized.
Do you have any surveys?
Yes, we do. We have.
If you weren't there last night, you can take a survey.
Yeah. Pass those around. We had one little on your how long you lived here. You can check one of the boxes, or you can write how long you've been here. We left out an age group, and it was kind of funny last night. But everyone just wrote, "I've lived here so long." So
I'm trying.
and some of it's demographic this same survey we'll have available online. You can vote early and often. We have a few of those.
Just
in
like
Colorado.
municipal elections.
We sometimes we'll have like a map survey on a website. You see the same person that's coming back every day. It's like, what the same thing? It looks good on the number of answers, but then you start looking, it's like that same person.
And if the school wanted to, I mean, we can obviously get them the surveys, but Courtney or I or one of us on the committee can go out and give presentations here if they need to.
Okay. Yeah, I think the way you set it up last night about telling them big ideas, think what long-term what you'd like to see. They understand that as they're answering this, and that's good. Yeah, that's the main thing. And we'll tailor that survey to ask a little more specific questions to their interest.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. It was fun.
We'll be in touch.
Okay.
All right. Well, if there's no further discussion on the matters regarding Kimley Horn's work, we'll move back up to item number 3, which is the approval. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Item number 3 is approval of minutes of the regular meeting held March 8th, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Sherman,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Glass,
Yes.
Swaller.
Yes.
All right, the next item is discussion and action on the financial statement from February 2023. We approved everything but the cash and investment balances at the last meeting, and the reason being was that the swimming pool cash balance was not included. It is included on the February financial statement that was sent out with this packet on the first page. At least in the order of what I pulled it out of my packet, it was right behind the minutes.
Page 1.
Page 1.
approve the February financials.
Second.
Glass,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Item 5 is discussion action on the financial statement for March 2023. As has been reported in previous months, revenue is coming in at higher than what was projected. Expenses are coming in under what was projected so far year to date. Our expenditures are under our revenues by about $700,000. And so that's good. You'll see on page 1, we've got the cash balances there. We did receive a donation for the turf for the ball fields, and so that's reflected there in the cash and investment balances. Altogether, between the CDs and the cash, we have right at, or just right under, $1.7 million in the funds for Parks and Recreation. Courtney, did you have any big ticket items?
I don't think that would reflect in this March. I've got a couple things, I think that'll show up in the next one. Just some bigger expenses. I'm not gonna say bigger expenses, but I did order a new mower for the tractor. It's not a grooming mower. That will probably hold up a lot better. The old one broke down. It was going to cost us much more to fix it than it would than just buy a new one. So that'll be on the next. That'll be on the next one. And then just a few things, getting ready for tournaments. I ordered some new fencing. That'll be a lot easier for us to put up. No more T-posts holding the fences up. They actually have, there's stakes that go in the ground. They go in the ground and then the poles go into them, like an anchor that goes into the ground. So those will all stay in the ground. All we have to do is pull the fence out and put it up and take it down real easy. So that did mow over it, yeah. So I mean that did cost us a little bit, but I think it'll save us a lot in the long run. If you look at that encumbered for property maintenance, that encumbered of that $10,000 right there, they are going to redo all of our gym lights and all of our lights around our building, and everything's going to be LED. So the nice thing, the gym lights go off, they'll come right back on. We don't have to wait 20 minutes, and it'll be a lot brighter. So something we've needed to do for a little while. So Northwest Electric is going to do that for us. I think was there any
more efficient.
Did we discuss about OG&E, trying to decide what it's costing us?
Yes, and Alex came out, what is today? I don't even know what today is, Wednesday? I think she either came out Monday or Tuesday, and I took her out. She needed to take a picture of both the meters, and because she was trying to explain to her boss kind of what was going on. We were still having problems. So hopefully the next couple days she'll get back with me and we can really figure it out. But it is, baseball field's so much higher than, baseball field was even higher than this building.
Baseball field's higher than the whole rest of the complex.
Yeah, and there's really no reason for it. I'd like to see us, at first someone said that we were paying for the stored usage of it, which is fine, but not if it's going to cost us that much, because if we're paying for the storage, I'd much rather pay it by the month, because we only use those lights, April and May and some in June. It's going to save us a heck of a lot just from the short time that we use them.
Disconnected.
Yeah, so hopefully Alex will get back with me. But yeah, I think it might have been yesterday she came out and took pictures. So.
And I will say, I had a pretty stern conversation last time I had it. So this needs to get taken care of, quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our cash balance accounts, are we drawing any interest on those?
I think we do draw interest.
And I was just assuming that these rates, that somebody would pay us some interest.
Yeah.
Have those checking accounts. Have that
think it's a now account or something like that. I can't remember what kind of account it is, but I do think we get some interest on it. And if you see the pool cash number, and we could probably do this with the pool, well, pool for sure, because it, not going to spend a lot out of that pool money for a while. We could probably put that in a CD and get, something better. And then the pool cash account, though, if you remember, what was it, December or January, or somewhere last few months, we did take a good portion of the pool cash and put that into a CD. I think we did 6 months. So it's going to be coming up. And with that coming up, the thought was, well, tell you what, if you want to approve this, I can talk about that in the city council report. I was getting ready to talk about budget stuff for next year.
I'd make a motion to approve the March finances.
Second.
Glass,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Item 7, reports. Director's report.
I don't have a whole lot to report. I will report that our first baseball tournament is this weekend. One-day tournament, 2017s. I think for a one-day, this has been our biggest. It will start at 8. It'll end about 10 if we're on time. So, and then the next weekend we got a softball tournament, and it's about to fill up. It's a one-day as well. I did have to cancel, and I don't know if I spoke about this before, but I had to cancel one of the tournaments in June just because they moved the league tournament for the youth kids to the same weekend because they pushed everything up. So it's not going to be any good to host a tournament when there wouldn't be anybody to play. So we canceled one of those, hoping maybe we can push and do 2 in the spring, depending on our field situation. Our May tournaments are filling up, so things are looking good. Soccer's rolling good numbers there. Yeah, everything's good. That's my part. My maintenance guy's doing an excellent job. He is by himself out there, but he's doing a real good job. Things are looking good.
Everything's rolling along pretty good out here. Anybody have any questions for Courtney? Okay, the city council report. Thank you to everyone that made recommendations on board member replacement. I'll probably reach out to you here in a day or two, but we're going to try to approve a replacement at the next city council meeting. Just want to let you know who all's been recommended and see if you have any thoughts on any of them, concerns or otherwise, and then we'll I'll take your feedback and make recommendation to city council on Monday, and so that's coming up. We did have our budget meetings with the staff, and I think at the last rec park board meeting we discussed some different options for pursuing capital outlay. And at this time, we didn't figure in any lease purchase agreements. Everything is going to, whatever we do next year is going to all be paid for out of, funds that we have. We did discuss that 2 of the CDs that we have will more than should, hopefully, if everything comes in where we think it will in budget, 2 of the CDs we will have, I think will take care of what we're anticipating for the Parks and Rec obligation for the turf infields. So, and that will still leave us with 1 CD plus all of our cash balances available for other things in the budget. We budgeted grants coming in, and I think we budgeted about, and we're going to meet with City Council Saturday to go over the whole budget, and then we'll get it out to you guys. But almost $6 million in revenue, but that's taken $3 million in donations for the pool, That's donations and grants for the pool. It's taken into consideration the playground grant that we're anticipating getting, and a bunch of revenue that's not typical revenue in a regular year. So other than that, we're looking at increases in wages for all staff. And I think out here that's going to be pretty important. It'll make a big difference in being able to recruit that seasonal help and some of the harder to fill positions, or some of the ones that have more turnover. We may not have as many vacant positions for as long a period of time as what we've been experiencing. So that's, I think we're going to be able to get that done. I think we're going to have a pretty decent budget for the entire city, and I think citywide we're looking at about a total of $7 million total grants and donations received. So about half of that will just be you guys, and so.
And Stephanie and I are always talking about different grants and what we can do. So we've been looking at a lot of things, and there's a lot out there, and we might as well take advantage of it since we've got Stephanie to write those up. So.
Last but not least, Steve Ford has taken the fire hose, and we're not letting him take sips. He's getting it all. He started Monday, and he has had a heavy dose of Parks and Recreation the first few days of the week here. We're getting him, he's set up in the office. He's got his computers, his phone lines, all that stuff is working. And so he's hit the ground running, and we're excited to have him. And Steve, I don't know if you want to say anything to the board members or not. I put you on the spot the other night too.
Yeah. I'm just glad to be here. Hopefully get this figured out sooner rather than later. So, but like I said, it's a lot of steep learning curve. So, we'll get it figured out.
He hadn't given me any pause yet, so we'll keep throwing stuff at him. I've sent out about, 100 emails or so on Monday saying Steve Ford's the guy. Steve Ford's the guy.
Yeah. Everything was, go to Steve, go to Steve, go to Steve.
But I will, myself and Chief Miller will continue to play an active role in the transition, make sure that we don't drop any balls during the transition. From a personnel management standpoint, I'm going to step back. It's going to be important that he's the guy that staff report to. I'll be the guy that says we need to remember these things and these things and these things, and but if I don't forget them. But that's kind of how we're looking at transition. He's catching on pretty quick. He came up and participated in the budget meetings with the department heads, and so he'll be obviously participating in the budget retreat that we have this weekend. So, any questions? Anything that I might not have addressed? Or?
The only thing I want to address is I'm very excited and happy to still see Gail and Kelly sitting here with us. So
Yes.
that's a positive right there.
Yeah. Lucky you.
I'm telling you.
We did have one turnover in council with Joe Parsons winning the ward for seat 2 over Randy Selling. All the other council members, mayor position, marshal position remain the same. Okay. Item 8, remarks and inquiries by board members.
I have a comment real fast. Just to let everybody know that the 818 Diner, when they did their Dr. Smith's dinner that night, they profited over $5,000 for the pool. And I thought that was pretty, yeah.
Yep.
She said that was the most that they've ever done at any of their dinners. And just to let everybody on this committee know too, that Daxton Williams was doing his Eagle Scout project, and he and Terry and all of the Boy Scouts put in, it doesn't look real good right now, but there's fish habitat in the pond. Actually, if there is ever water in the pond, there will be fish habitat there. So if you go by
They did
this.
like, what, 2 weeks ago or something, or? the
Yeah,
week-
right at, around spring break. But if you go by the pond, you'll see all the trees and stuff that they put. Because a lot of
I will
them,
tell you,
it's kind of funny looking,
because
but
the pond is, probably it's in dire shape right now. As we've talked about park master plan, running as much runoff as possible from the entire, 14th Street and maybe even, we're trying to see everything we can do to divert water to the pond, as we look at, all the improvements for the park area. And we, everything from up top of Crenshaw Field and all that, down to 14th Street and beyond. For coming off the cemetery, we're trying to see what we can do to divert as much water as possible toward that pond.
What can you do to seem different than it already is?
Well, some of it still kind of runs in different directions. Most of it does go to the pond. There haven't been any, but most of it.
And even what stands in the canyon behind the football field ends up there, right?
We're talking about having concrete instead of just soil. We feel like that'll channel more of it. It won't saturate. That ground there on the south end of the park gets pretty saturated after a rain, and it stands back there. So we think we can get more of that down to the pond.
and with it sitting dry like it has, it should have killed out all those cattails that are there at the very end on the south side.
And I think Mark has taken care of some of those as well on that
Yeah.
south end, yeah.
I think he and Terry talked about it.
Yeah.
There's no further business. We're adjourned.